We have these pieces of foam that have been cut and fitted to her arm. And this adds a little bit more compression, but it also adds some padding to it. So
helps break up fibrotic tissue.
So it helps break up the fibrotic tissue and just makes it a little bit more comfortable for them. So I would do one that has a little slit for the thumb in the inside of the hand, another that goes around the dorsum of her hand, and then I have one that has been cut for her forearm and wraps around. And she helps me with this because it is a lot. You're holding on to these two and this one. So she'll take her other hand and help me hold the foam in place, and then I'll begin my wrap. And this is one question I had for you, because they had told us to do each bandage in an opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And that is just to increase the compression?
That just evens it out a little bit, so it's not always going the same direction. You got one going this way, one this way. It just makes it even.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll do an anchor at her wrist, and then I come around, and again, I'm not pulling tightly. It's just I'm just wrapping it around. And up, good. And we come around. And you'll learn this when you start doing your bandages. When you get around the wrist or any of the joints, you want to do a figure 8. And that just allows you to get some movement there. And then up the arm, I'll do a spiral.
And see how she's giving a little tug as she goes around? She's tugging a little bit on the bandage. It's not a lot. It's not super tight. You're not trying to cut off the circulation. But then these bandages aren't like ACE bandages. They don't stretch. They're not as tight.
So you hold that for me?
Sure. She's being mummified.
Thank you.
It's always a good idea to have your tape ready.
Hey Sarah, are you going to keep that on until class tomorrow?
I am. And I also do the tug at the lower part of this extremity. Once I get up to the top, I won't tug as much because you are supposed to be tighter at the bottom and slow and a little looser as you work your way up. So again, I do another anchor. At this point, I would add the other foam for the upper part of her arm. We're getting around a joint, so we're going to do a figure 8, which is you're crossing over. Can you guys see the difference in that between that and spiral?
And you will learn this.
Because you're going to learn that next. So with the figure 8, you're going to have these crosses. And then as
we're
you
looking
come
for
past
those
the
when you do your
joint, I'll go
checkoff.
back into a spiral. The figure 8 is a little bit, well, it leaves a little more room just for the joint to have some play there.
One thing I was taught that when we do these, like for instance, this is probably a little bit thin right here, so I probably would have taken my second bandage and started back down here and gone up, just so there's a little bit more compression on here. 'Cause 2 bandages is better than 1. But what you could do is you could take either this one, and I've put as many as 4 bandages on a patient. That's a lot of bandages.
Yeah, and on my grandmother's arm, this would be up top. So this bandage would only be in the middle. So the first shorter bandage would probably go from here to here. The second bandage would go from here to here. And this third bandage would go up top, and this is your final. But she doesn't have lymphedema.
But I just wanted to
so I
feel
can
the
start down
thickness.
here
I wanted to feel the thickness of what it's like to have 3 bandages on, and why people, can you imagine this now? People do this in the summertime.
No.
It's not real comfortable.
Right in. It's Samantha Freeman.
Yes, yes. I taught her how to do this. Well, she learned it, but I refined it. Yeah, she
Well,
does.
if her fingers start
She
turning,
she does it on her grandmother every night.
No, it's fine.
Does she? She does.
We need to borrow something real quick.
And
So
then
would that be as high as you would wrap it?
Yes.
Yeah, you just want to go right up to just
Okay.
below the
It feels like a cast. That's impressive, actually, that you did that, Samantha.
You didn't know that? Alright, for the last one,
Carol, you did a good job teaching.
Taught her a few
another thing I forgot to mention too is at home I have like a pillow or a wedge to put under her arm so she's not just kind of standing there with her arm up because I'm sure your arm's getting kind of tired.
I do the same thing. I give my patients pillows to
Or
rest
I
on.
put her hand like on my hip.
And when you're teaching
Her hand
self-wrapping,
up on your hip. And then you dip.
And then what I've taught patients for self-wrapping is they can just put their arm up on a wall and it kind of holds it, and then they can sit there and use this hand to wrap around.
For the last wrap, we're going to do a figure 8 and tell me if this is different from what you do. The last wrap is a bigger bandage. Again, I'm going in the opposite direction. But I'm going to do a figure 8 all the way up. And this is just the final wrap. It kind of compresses everything really nicely.
So you want the final wrap to be the opposite direction?
Each wrap should go in opposite direction than the one before it. The final wrap, instead of doing a spiral and figure 8s at the joint, you're doing a figure 8 all the way up the arm
For the final.
for the final wrap.
And the biggest one is always usually the last wrap.
And they go in order by the size. So start with the small ones around the fingers, and then you gradually work your way up. It's so different wrapping.
You've passed your check off. Whatever, she's buff.
And you said all the fingers would be covered, right? It's just
Yes,
the-
this
Yeah,
one we
they would
just,
be.
I just do it a little different. I use 2 at home.
How's that
Then to end
That's very
it, I
tight.
give her
She really didn't pull it very tight.
a little sleeve. It's a piece of cloth sleeve that's cut. I put that over the top here,
I have done that.
and it just kind of covers this up so that we don't get anything loose while she's sleeping or during the day. And then I also use glove, just like a winter mitten, to keep her fingers on because she loses them.
Yeah,
She
the
doesn't
fingers
have-
are, that's the first thing that happens is those finger wraps will start to unravel and come off. They're just there.
So she'll wear that all night. Usually do it whenever I get home from here, so 5 or 6 or off work or something, and she wears it all night until the next morning and takes it off. And they gave her a little roller to wrap all her bandages up, and she goes on.
Now,
about
can
her
she
day.
get her sleeve on herself, or does somebody help her?
She can get her sleeve on, but it is very difficult. And there are times, I have a night job, so there are times when I work at night that she doesn't get wrapped and she puts her sleeve on. And if she doesn't wear her sleeve, I can tell because her arm is significantly bigger than it is when we're wrapping it or when she's wearing her sleeve every night. So with the lymphedema, they fill it very quick if you're not moving that fluid out. I mean, it's the waste that's coming from your body every day.
Now,
So,
just tell me something, Sarah. Would you want to have to wear that every day, 23 or 24 hours?
No.
No, not
No.
comfortable, would it? This is where compliance is an issue, big time.
But also, would I want to live with an armful of fluid
Hurting.
that hurts? Like,
Yep.
it's
And that's
so
that's
much.
what you tell the patients, you know.
I would just walk around like this all the time.
I guess I don't, like, I understand the whole massage part to get the channel open. What exactly is the compression doing that's helping?
It's pushing. It's actually your massage has opened up the channels, and it has actually you've manually moved some of that fluid. Now you put the compression wraps. So what you didn't move manually, now the compression wraps, and the compression is also what does compression do? It takes out it gets it smaller.
Yeah.
It actually helps to make the
when she
limb
wrapped
smaller.
me, she was moving it up my arm.
So it
with
was like
everything is pushing
the
this,
compression.
I can feel it.
Now these are low stretch bandages. My understanding with the low stretch bandages is the reason you want them to wear them to bed is because that's when they do their most work. Okay, they work best at night. If you were to put somebody in an ACE bandage and put them in bed, it's going to get tighter. Okay, and it's going to cut your circulation off because it has so much elasticity to it. These do not. These are specifically designed for, that's why we say you wear them 23 out of 24 hours. You do wear them to sleep. That is your most important time
When
to
you're
wear them.
resting.
When you're resting, yeah.
I remember in class that you said you did
Get-
massage,
am I in
you
half
wanted
of
to do
these?
it.
Yes, you
You
are.
wanted to do it away.
Well, I don't want to be in
down.
half of them.
Not for
Did
for
you get a
lymphedema.
Well, you're
good shot
talking.
of her?
For lymphedema,
Did you get a
you
shot of
always
her?
are pushing things towards the center of the body because the lymph nodes are not working properly.
What was the one condition that you said that you wanted massage away, like not up but,
Oh, I just said that when you're taught to do a massage, like an edema
yes.
massage,
yeah.
we're always taught, that's called retrograde. Retrograde is where we start at the bottom and we push that fluid toward the heart, okay? We don't want to do that in this case because we have a blockage. Just think, there's a blockage, okay? The difference between edema and lymphedema is that with edema, it's not blocked. It's just that your heart isn't working hard enough to pump that fluid and get it moving, okay?
So for both of you, you're
But-
pushing distally to proximal, so you're going from the farthest part up.
But you have to get
With
rid of the
starting
blockage
here.
first with lymphedema.
So with just regular edema, say I like sprain my wrist and I just have some edema, I'm gonna start down here and push up. With lymphedema, I
Towards
need
your heart.
to open the channels first. So I'm gonna start at the most proximal part, and I'm gonna slowly work my way up.
But you're still pushing.
But
You
you're
just want the
always
stroke
pushing
to go
towards
toward the
always-
heart.
Yeah, you're still doing that.